The next thing that we will be discussing is Schedulable Apex. We have already discussed about future methods. We have spoken about Queueable Apex. Now the next important or another way of executing asynchronous Apex is Schedulable Apex. As the name itself suggests, schedulable. So this is something which can be scheduled, right? So the idea is very simple. So if I have, I'll give you an example. If I have an Apex code that needs to be executed every Friday 7 p.m., right? I want to execute some code and I want to do it after business hours every Friday, right? So now if I use a Queueable Apex there, what I have to do every Friday, I'll have to go and call that particular method system.enqueueJob and put it into the job queue, which is going to be of course not a very efficient way of doing it. With Schedulable Apex, the concept remains pretty much same. It is still an asynchronous Apex. It still gets executed similarly, but with Schedulable Apex or with the schedulable interface which it uses. So with the schedulable interface which Schedulable Apex uses, you have the option to define a schedule, and as per the schedule, let's say my schedule is every Friday 7 p.m. Now, as per the schedule, every Friday 7 p.m. automatically the job will be put into the job queue. So that is the thing. Now, if it is put into the job queue at 7 p.m., does it get executed at 7 p.m.? Possibly no, right? Because it again is an asynchronous Apex. It will wait for the system resources to become available. So the actual execution may happen after 30 minutes. It may happen after 5 minutes. But at 7 p.m., the job will be put in the job queue. So the schedule that we define is when the job will be put into the job queue. Once the job is put into the job queue, it behaves pretty much the same as it was doing for your Queueable Apex. All right. So now what is Schedulable Apex? Used to invoke an Apex class to run at specified time, and it implements the Salesforce provided schedulable interface. So the schedulable interface, how it is different from Queueable Apex and the Queueable interface. So in Queueable Apex also we were implementing an interface which was Queueable interface. Schedulable interface basically allows us to schedule the class, and it can work with a specified schedule, and automatically based on the schedule it will get into the job queue, right? So as I gave you the example, if I define a schedule of every Friday 7 p.m., automatically it will go and get into the job queue every Friday 7 p.m. All right. Now schedules can be defined in two ways. So there are two ways of defining the schedule. So of course you will define the code. We will talk about the syntax. We'll look into the syntax. But if we have written the code, now how do we define the schedule? So defining the schedule can be done. So that is going to be outside your actual code. So scheduling can be done in two ways. There is an option to schedule it from an Apex page in the Salesforce UI. So in the Salesforce UI, there is where you see the list of Apex classes. There is an option to schedule Apex, right? So that's a completely UI based option for you. What you can do, you can simply go to that particular page and you can click on a button called Schedule Apex, and you can choose your schedule, right? Daily, monthly, weekly, something like that. All right. And the other option is, if you want greater controls, then what you can do, you can also use a method called system.schedule method. Now the system.schedule method allows you to define your own schedule the way you want, right? So there are two ways. So you define your schedulable Apex, and after that what you do, you define the schedule. So either you go to the user interface and define the schedule, or you can simply define your schedule using the system.schedule method. Okay. And then there is one more thing here, which is, of course, the system.abort job. Now, if you want to, so we have the system.schedule method, right, to schedule something. So what will system.schedule method do? It will schedule your schedulable Apex, right? However, once it is scheduled, now if you want to abort that job, let's say it's going to run every Friday 7 p.m. Now I do not want this execution to happen any further, because the difference between schedulable Apex and your Queueable Apex is Queueable Apex was one-time thing. Now this is a regular thing. Now it's happening constantly, right? So with system.abort job, what you can do, you can abort a job which is getting scheduled on a regular basis, right? So to stop the execution of a job that was scheduled, you can use system.abort job method. Here is the syntax for Schedulable Apex. As I said, this is again very similar. So best way to understand this is that, if you compare this syntax with the Queueable Apex syntax, it will be easy to understand. The only difference is outside this class structure remains pretty much same. It uses a slightly different interface, which is schedulable interface, right? So Queueable interface was different, that allowed you to go and enqueue the job into the job queue. Schedulable interface is different, so it implements schedulable interface, which gives it the ability to be scheduled. The rest, everything remains same, so pretty much the same thing. It will have one method which is called execute method. So you will define a class. This class will implement schedulable interface. Inside the class, there has to be one method. You will define a method inside the class, so it should have one method, and the name of the method has to be execute return something. All right, so that is it. And once you have defined that, all that you have to do is you simply have to go and write your inside that method. You simply have to write your code block. So whatever code you want to execute, you simply need to go and write your code.